that same old place, sweet home Chicago.
Great migration to the industrial cities during World War I and the loss of jobs during the Great Depression caused a major explosion in blues music in North America. Although cities like St. Louis and Memphis were blues centers, Chicago was its epicenter, spawning musicians that influenced blues across the world.
And a sweet little home, but it got burnt down, people ain't that bad. That's my own fault. People ain't that bad.
With the onset of World War I, war-related manufacturing jobs and service industry jobs opened up in large northern cities. This was a great opportunity for African Americans from the South to get well-paying jobs. Millions migrated north. From the southern cities, farms, and small towns, they boarded trains after packing their meager belongings into flimsy luggage or even cloth sacks more appropriate to picking cotton. Some stopped along the way, but seldom for long. The Mecca was Chicago.
When I first moved to the city, that's where I learned to play, was going in and out of blues clubs. So it was sort of the only music that I felt had a commonality to all the music that I grew up listening to, from the Beatles to Led Zeppelin to Rolling Stones. So, and all those bands, which were my favorite when I was younger, were all influenced by Chicago blues musicians. And so right during college years, I used to come here and watch all the great Chicago blues musicians play in and out of all the different venues in Chicago. And that's pretty much where I learned how to play. It was just watching what they did.
Hey, my baby, she can't be found. You know I don't find my baby. People, I'm going down to the bowling alley.
Thousands of African Americans left their homes to go to Chicago, where formal segregation was nowhere near as bad. But still, informal segregation caused black men and women to occupy the south side of the city, creating a black metropolis that laid the framework for new forms of African American culture, such as blues and jazz music. By 1960, the African American population in Chicago had increased over 77% by as 500,000 people, making it the black capital of America.
I got to have a word with you. I just want you to tell me why you treat me the way you do.
If you grow up in Chicago, no matter what kind of music you're playing, I think it's I think it's gotten a little bit away from being influenced a lot by the Chicago blues scene, as far as a lot of what the indie rock bands are doing coming out of Chicago, and a lot of these younger bands. But I still think that most musicians I know grow up learning to play the blues. That's the first thing that you learn to play, as far as when it comes to the American music. And it's always seated in there somewhere. So I think a lot of these younger bands coming out of the Chicago music scene are all a part of this kind of breathing, moving, living sort of musical endeavor that Chicago is.
Performers in northern cities were honing what had previously been a rural music form and picking up elements of the blossoming jazz scene. Leroy Carr from Tennessee and Scrapper Blackwell from North Carolina met in Indianapolis and pioneered the piano-guitar combo that would become the basis of both Chicago blues and the West Coast sound.
I got a no good one, and she sure don't mean me no good.
I hope there ain't another woman like her in nobody's neighborhood.
Chicago became the place where the Piedmont blues of artists like Scrapper met and merged with the Delta sounds of artists like Big Bill Boozy from Mississippi. Recording contracts captured the new sound and returned it to the South, where it influenced succeeding waves of migrants who would in turn add to the development and send it out again. Call and response is not just a form of the blues, it describes the development and growth of the form.
Oh, child, why that mean mannish boy? Man, I'm a full-grown man. Man, I'm a natural-born lover, man. I'm a rolling stone.
Artists like Muddy Waters and Willie Dixon transformed the art form into the Chicago blues sound and influenced musicians around the world, from the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin to Buddy Guy and Eric Clapton, and eventually inspired the creation of the Chicago Blues Festival. When we think of leaders, we most often think of people with political power or wealth. The leaders and creators of Chicago blues came with nothing, a change of clothes and a cotton sack. They were poor and denied access to the promise of democracy because of the color of their skin. But they changed the world forever, and they did it here in Chicago. Their legacy is as rich and vibrant today as it has ever been, influencing generations of young musicians, carrying the Chicago blues and the Chicago sound into the future.